We're rolling.
Hi everyone, I'm Laura
I'm Steph.
and welcome in the Sister Circle podcast.
Welcome.
The circle where as women we share,
Learn,
grow
heal.
and thrive. Before we start, I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodian of the land on which we are currently recording. And today, I would like to pay my respect to the Gayemagal people of the Eora Nation. Yes, we are on a new country today. I pay my respect to their elders, past and present, and I extend this respect to the emerging leaders. This always be and always will be an Aboriginal land.
Amen. Hi, Laura. How are you?
I am good. I'm really excited. It's our first time in Gayemagal country. So for the one that are like listening and being like, oh, where are they? It's not the Gadigal land as usual. Today we are in Manly. So we are in the northern beaches. So if you think about the opera in Sydney, we just crossed the bridge and we're on the other side. So, and on this side, it's a land of the Gayemagal people. So I'm really excited that we get to record in my place.
With hot water bottles and heaters running.
Yeah, because it's still winter in Australia and it's really cold.
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm good. End of financial year, so things are slowing down and things need to be renewed. Everything needs to be renewed, from car insurance to all my registrations that I have for my psychotherapy work. Everything comes out at the end of the financial year, basically.
Yeah, but like you claim your tax back in few weeks, because from 1st of July you can claim it.
No, I have to pay tax.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because you're...
Yeah, I have to pay. I do pay as you go. Like, I paid for the first 2 quarters, but I have to basically pay for this last 2 quarters, yeah.
Oh, yeah. This is it when we are like permanent employees. You just pay taxes, all those taxes, and then
You get it
a
back.
little bit back, thankfully.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm super excited. Like, it's been... and it's so funny that it's going to be our series. It's been an anxious time for me.
Very appropriate.
Because I finally settled on my house. I have my keys.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So it's just above. I have the chance. I've been living in this building for like 3 years, and I love the place where I live. And yeah, I just bought the apartment above. So I'm planning to move in few weeks, like I will say a month and a half. Mm-hmm. And before that, I have to do a lot of renovation. And I went through like a anxious time, like trying to design how the place is gonna look like. I use a designer. And then like working with the builders on getting some quotes, and then like I had some bill shock when just I was looking at the quote, and then everything was crazy expensive. Mm-hmm. So I just decided, okay, fine, I'm gonna do some of those things myself. Super excited about the adventure. Like, I'm gonna have a break of work, so not working for a few weeks, so I can just focus on painting my house, while like some of the contractors are gonna do my bathroom, my kitchen, and the rest. So exciting time, but I'm loving it. So I'm embracing it.
Good. What are we talking about today?
This is a topic that is quite common across the world, across like actually gender. Like, it's not just for women, but we are gonna specifically dive on how it affects women, and we are going to go through like what is it, try to have some definition of it, try to be able to understand how it affects women, and then have some stats around this, and also like how do we recognize it, and then hopefully having some coping mechanism as well to manage that. Mm-hmm. And I'm super excited as well for the guest episode, because we will be able to have some really practical experience.
Yes, that's right. So, women and anxiety, where would you like to start with that?
Well, I think before we start, given the episode that it is, it would be good to have a trigger warning for auditors.
Yes, as you would find out, that the anxiety is very prevalent amongst people, women and men. So, in case you get triggered by what we speak about today, just make sure you take care of yourself. You look after yourself. You either pause the episode or you leave the room or do whatever is necessary for you not to be triggered by this particular episode if you are unable to cope with what we are going to talk about.
And if you've been able to carry on with us like the whole episode, there will be an emotional regulation exercise at the end of this episode.
Yeah.
Just for us to be able to leave the conversation
Intact.
Yes.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, like, what is anxiety? I think it would be good to have some definition, because like sometimes you can see that a lot of people have different type of definition around, oh yeah, I'm being anxious, but okay, are you depressed? Are you actually anxious, or is it another?
Depression and anxiety tend to go hand in hand, but it's good to be able to make a distinction whether you have depression or you just have anxiety or you have both.
Yeah.
But anxiety can also vary, particularly when we're talking about women. You can experience feeling of panicky, like something is wrong. You could feel different type of anxiety where you think things are actually going wrong in your life. Sometimes things are going wrong. Sometimes it's very unconscious situation that's being triggered by something that you've seen. It could be based on PTSD. It could be based on a lot of women experience agoraphobia or any type of phobia. OCD is also a form of anxiety. So there's so many out there. In Australia, the best website to read about it would be Black Dog Institute, which talks more in depth about the type of anxiety that are prevalent amongst people and women.
Okay, that's good. And then we will put this reference in the description of the episode, just if some people, is that for Australia, if some people want to have access to it?
Yeah, for Australia. I mean, for everybody else, I'm sure there's something in every other country as well. But particularly in Australia, the Black Dog Institute covers a lot of information about what anxiety, how it looks different, and different symptoms that might be in different people. And another thing that I have to mention is the feeling of I'm going to die. That panic attack that you feel like I'm going to die. That's also very prevalent. I've had a personal experience with that kind of anxiety, and that is what I also witnessed the most in people.
So it's interesting because when I hear you talking about symptom of what anxiety could look like,
Yeah.
I feel like I've been using the word, oh, I'm anxious, or like I'm having like a anxiety, but am I really? This is what I'm thinking, because like most of the time, like, like the example that I was saying earlier, like with like all my work, my renovation work, and having to find the right contractors and dealing with all the quote and things, that brought me anxiety. Like this is the word that I'm saying, but I think it's generally like just a bit of a stress. I can feel the adrenaline. So like, would you call that anxiety?
Yeah, I could call it anxiety. It could be anxiety too. There's different, it manifests in different ways. Some people won't even have things like fluttery, but it's like, that nerve that goes into your stomach where you feel like, that tingly feeling and discomfort feeling that you feel in your stomach. Sweating can be a symptom. You have to pay attention. Your heart pounding, or your feet is feeling like you need to run. There's all sorts of ways that you can experience anxiety. You have to pay close attention to your physical symptoms, especially because your body is always going to talk to you first.
So would you say that if we're trying, like, I know I'm mixing a bit both exercise, like I'm trying to define anxiety and then maybe recognize it kind of. So would you say that there is this anxious state that you're like your body is giving you an emotional response that's
Just anything
fidgety.
fidgety. I want to eat. I want to that's anxious. I want to eat, but it's not necessarily hunger, but there is something that has unsettled you, and you need something. I want to smoke. Smoking also.
Oh, really?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
yeah.
then does it has to be triggered for you to call
Yeah.
it anxiety?
What do you mean? Does it have to be triggered?
Does something need to happen?
But the funny thing about anxieties is that you don't always know that something has happened. You don't know what has triggered you. Yeah, it's not that straightforward. It could be really unconscious of what's triggered you. You might hear something. You might have a conversation with your friend or your parent or your boss, and or your child, and they've said something to you, and you think, oh, yeah, that's not great, but I can handle it. But then your body is like, no, we can't handle it. And losing concentration is also a symptom. Like when you just aren't able to focus. But have you ever been in a situation where were a bit baffled of why you couldn't focus, when you think, this is something that I do all the time, why can I not?
Yeah, when I'm in really boring meeting with my colleague, and I'm just like, oh my God, like I still have half an hour. I cannot focus. I need to take off my phone.
Or maybe that might not be anxiety. It could be, I'm not sure. I don't know the situation. But not focusing so much on that, but something that you actually do want to be doing, but you can't focus. For example, sleep. Insomnia is also anxiety.
Oh, okay.
Not being able to fall asleep because your brain is not allowing you to settle, to go to sleep, because it's interpreting it as something is incredibly wrong and we cannot go to sleep.
Okay, so I have a question on that, because I have to admit, just before I have a big trip in Cuba or in Mexico or like something really exciting, oh my God, I'm not going to sleep, and I'm just going to think, and I'm going to like imagine what I'm going to do.
Yeah, but that's probably another thing. That's a good thing you brought that up, because anxiety and excitement can often look the same. Yeah.
Okay, I understand that.
Yeah.
Because I feel the same with my renovation work, but like I feel like from both sides.
Yeah. It's both anxiety and excitement.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can often look the same, because I used to be like that with school. Like when school, that's the only time I was excited about school. The first day. The first day. No, I loved school, but the first day used to be, that's when I'm excited to see everybody again, and after that I'll just like I'll be up very early, and
when you're wearing your new clothes, you know, when we were younger.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know that. Okay.
Yeah, so that's different.
And just to finish on the definition of anxiety, I think it's good. Like, it gave me a good panel, but I still think that, you know, there is some level of, you know, I don't know if it's seriousness or like, you know, like more impact or more limiting anxiety.
What do you mean?
Like, I think I have some people in my circle that I know like suffer of anxiety, and like I think like more social anxiety, and sometimes they cannot be around people.
Yeah,
they just gonna be like literally like in a state where like you don't even know how to manage them. And I know when I'm anxious, even being around people, I'm not gonna be like that. So clearly there is a difference.
Yeah,
and I think there is different grades of anxiety.
Well, it depends on the individual and what they're feeling. Dr. Jordan Peterson, he's a man. He, one of his early lectures, he would talk about how the focus is, when people have social anxiety, major social anxiety, the focus is what is normally on, they're looking at me, they think what they're thinking about me, I'm inadequate, I don't have anything to say, what can I say, what would they think of me? And there's too much focus on what's going on with you, or what you might be or what you might not be. There's not enough focus to see, oh, what are they like? Maybe, yeah, what are these people like? Rather than thinking that they're all looking at me, you're not looking at them. Yeah, you're too focused on what's going on here. And you're not, rather than thinking, what are they thinking about me? Maybe you could think of, what do I think about this place and this situation, this environment? Do I want to be here? Am I having fun? Are they my people?
Yeah, but like I can understand that, this is a really rational thinking when things are like good. But I can understand when you get triggered.
Yes.
That's not the first thing that you're going to think of, right?
Absolutely not. But with things like behavioral therapy, that's the kind of process you have to go through. Is first of all, become aware that I am triggered or I'm anxious, and this is what I'm thinking, and then this is how you change your brain.
Okay.
And then you speak to, and you start to focus on yourself, on what do I think, and then you start questioning what is true, because your brain is constructing these things in your head, and you start really looking. Like, let's look at agoraphobia, for example. When people who have agoraphobia, I can't leave the house because of XYZ, and you have to really start questioning what is true and what is not true.
Yeah.
You have to bring the rational brain, because your brain has gone all the way back to the stress, the trauma brain, or the stress brain, at the back, the limbic brain, or the amygdala has popped off. Your prefrontal cortex is shut down, and you're not rational.
Yeah, I have a friend that goes exactly through those states, like at a point that it doesn't make any sense,
Exactly.
like literally, like, and he always asked me, like, like at those moments, like he always called me, and like just for me to just like, no, like, come on, that doesn't make sense. Why are you even asking this question? So that I can just like help him go back in tunes, kind of, like, to be fair. But I have a friend that, like, and literally for me, going to like the same, like we are like facing the same situation, but we are like seeing things completely differently. It's really weird. So I'm wondering what's happening in their brain.
So cognitive behavior therapy really is good for anxiety. I don't necessarily do that as a practice. I do give it to people when it's suitable. But if someone is just suffering from anxiety, cognitive behavior therapy, because you have to change your thoughts and your thinking pattern, and you have to really assess it using your rationale, like using your rational brain, your executive brain, and that completely shuts down and is overpowered.
So you mentioned a few things, cognitive behavior therapy, and I'm not on purpose. I haven't asked more question on that, because I know we are going to talk about that in the next episode when we're going to talk about coping it. But I just want to go back slightly on gender. You mentioned a man, one of the professor, I forgot the name.
Jordan Peterson.
And I'm keen to
mention the man.
Yeah, which is it's not something that is quite
spoken about on here.
Yes,
except in this manner. Yeah.
But if we think about gender now, like when we think about women, because I was looking at the stats, and it was fascinating. Like, one woman in 3 it's going to experience anxiety, as opposed to one man in 5. So women are more loaded to face anxiety in their life.
Yeah. I mean, those stats are great, but nearly every woman I've met has experienced anxiety. I haven't met like a 1 in 3 women with anxiety. Obviously, if we're talking about the extreme when it goes into the phobias, then I would say, but even then, it's very subtle in every woman. Like it's very in every person. Essentially, sometimes they can be very subtle. Obviously, to the point where you're completely debilitated, where you can't leave your home, or leave your bed, or do things for yourself, where it completely impacts your social function. Yeah.
And is there a trait of anxiety that we are going to see more in women rather than in men? Like, would you have like more OCD in women rather than in men, or social anxiety?
There's definitely agoraphobia more in women than in men.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know if like there is some specific factors that...
I don't necessarily have this, maybe for the next episode, but I know that agoraphobia is definitely found more. Just to think that, though, it's insane, isn't it? To think that women fear leaving their home. There's so many, from what I can remember, just off my head, from what I can remember from the paper that I read years ago on that, there's different factors that comes into it. A lot of it is safety.
Yeah, but like, okay, but let's dig into that, because safety, I think I experienced that lately, like when I felt really anxious with a man that I was seeing at the time, and we were in a specific circumstances that for a weird reason, I just felt really anxious and not safe. And then I was just trying to understand, like when I came back to it, I was like, why did I feel that way? And then like, I had a friend that at the time was asking me, well, like, is there any trauma? Like things that, unconsciously you just crystallize and that happened maybe when you were younger and things like that. That's at the surface, and that's why your security triggered, your sense of safety and alerts just trigger, and that's why it activate.
Yeah.
That could be also a reason.
I don't
right?
know. It could be all kinds of reasons. I don't know. Like you'd have to. There has to be more. There needs more information to know why that came. I mean, yeah.
Okay, that's fine, and maybe that's something that we can have a look for the next episode. But I'm also wondering, like in women, because like I don't think it's biology, and I know that like, for example, I'm gonna be more subject to some behavior when I have my period, or just before I have my period, like when I'm quite hormonal, and like I'm gonna like leave my different fluctuation of hormone. Here we go. It's gonna trigger a lot of crazy Laura or whatever. So that could happen as well.
Yeah. It's funny that most women do go through that. I mean, I only experienced that in my 40s, and that's only been like 2 seconds ago that I've experienced anxiety premenstrual. So I can't imagine what being like that since 12 years old.
And we are talking about men, like premenstrual, like, but because we, like, both of us, we don't have kids, but like, what about like postpartum for actual,
or even just parental anxiety? Like even just, you don't even have to be just postpartum, just parental, or even just being pregnant and knowing that you have to bring this child in and you're 100% responsible for this kid, and you have to make sure that this kid is safe in the world. Like, what skills or what resource, what ability do I have to do that? So that's a lot to do with it. And also you have to think about, when you think about women going into work premenstrual or during their menstrual cycle, their hormones are, I don't want to say against them, because they're working exactly how they're supposed to work. But in a situation where we have to make money to make a living, and we have to be in this environment and just put up with it.
Yeah.
And then there's also health anxiety that people have, scared of being sick terminally ill. Cancer, breast cancer is also amongst us. I mean, from 13 years old, we're told to take a vaccine to prevent cervical cancer. So I can't say that many women go on thinking about it, but for sure, when women get into from a certain age, they have to be concerned about breast cancer too, right? So that health anxiety increases, and not to mention the changes that women go through for menopause, hormonal change with that increases anxiety too in women.
When I was going through the different, all my biopsy for my breast cancer,
Yeah.
I actually learned that men can have breast cancer too.
They do. If you have too much, yeah, they do. They can have.
Like, I was just like, what? And he explained me. He was like, he said, like, do you have breast cancer in the family? I'm like, no, not that I'm aware of. It's like, woman, men, like your dad. And I'm like, yeah, he has a cancer, but not breast cancer. He's like, oh yeah, but I'm asking because, men
Have breast cancer, can have breast cancer
So-
too. Yeah.
interesting.
Well, some men have breast.
It's where it's localized actually. And like, just to go back on the factor on why maybe like we have these incidents that is a bit higher for women. I think the societal pressure as well is a big one, and you mentioned kind of that with work, like with stay composed, even going through like hormonal
Changes
and things like that, but also like how we are perceived as women, and how we should behave, calm, composed, measured. If not, we are like hysterical or whatever, or you have your period,
To be honest, I would say be bloody hysterical if you need to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like just be whatever you like. If that's how you're feeling, be hysterical. To trying to suppress that, I think it just makes it worse. Obviously, if your mind is telling you go and punch that bloke in the face, don't do that.
This is what like sometimes is driving me nuts, because I never saw a woman losing her shit.
Yeah.
At work.
But they can't.
Because otherwise it's just going to be a proper pariah. But I saw so many men doing it,
Lose their shit.
but I never saw any woman it's just my experience, right? I'm just talking about me and like my little experience in at work, but I never saw that. But I saw many men losing their shit.
Well, that's a different argument, isn't it? But there's that's a different conversation altogether, because there's different factors for that, why that could be.
Yeah, and because it's all, we can accept socially, when a man is going to do that, no one is going to talk about him being hormonal or like he didn't wake up well. People are going to say, oh yeah, he's assertive, he knows what he wants, and those type of things, right?
Yeah.
But why I'm saying that is because I think women, when they present anxiety, most of the times they just internalize it.
Yeah.
They don't let it go,
Yeah.
And then most of the time we internalize it, and then that's how it shows, like with being perfectionist, or like I'm eating I'm like, oh my God, like this is all I like. When I can feel I'm stressed, I need something. I need some sugar. I need some sweets to just help me to cope. And like some are just gonna withdraw, and yeah, I'm not in this conversation. I don't need to be. You know what I mean?
You do that. You withdraw.
I don't. But I have a good friend of mine. That's what she does.
Yeah.
And yeah, like, in this sensation of control. I know if I'm anxious, if like I'm gonna want to, okay, I need to control. I know it's not gonna be done. This is when I'm gonna be like my control freak side is gonna like go up. And I think it's a way of me, like, now that I'm talking with you, that it's probably all my anxiety show.
Yeah. So it makes sense, because if anxiety is a sign of something is going wrong or I am losing control, your response will be, how do I gain control? How do I regain control? in this, in whichever way you want to do it. If you want to do it for disorderly eating, if you want to do it through perfectionism, if you want to do cleaning, if you want to do it for whichever way is, I need to have control over this thing.
Yeah, and it's a pity, because sometimes I think just being able to like, and we are not in touch with ourselves, and we are not able to just like be able to recognize it, like just be able to say like, hey, I'm anxious right now. I know I'm doing it that a bit more, but I've been working with therapists and stuff to be able to do that. And I can see also some of my friends that are not doing it, and they just internalize the anxiety, and then sometimes just being able to just put word into it, I think it does a lot of the work.
So when you say you can see that being internalized, what do you like? What does it look like to you when you see it being internalized?
Oh yeah, I know. It's like I know exactly something is triggering me. I know that I receive an email that's gonna say something, but like not everything is said. So I have like so many questions, and it's like I don't know what's gonna happen. So I don't feel good because I'm losing my sense of control. I'm gonna need to soothe, and I'm gonna need to like eat something. Or you remember when I had my finger on like my breast, and like the cancer scare. Oh my God! Like I just wanted some sugar. This sensation of having something in the mouth, it's soothing, at least for me, Or like I need to know everything. I need to understand everything. I need to try to like control everything. But rather than just like, okay, I'm anxious, let's go through that, because at the end of the day, it's just a time, right? It's just a time, it's going to pass. And then maybe when you see more clearly, like you're going to be able to take more the rational decision to be able to process it.
Yeah. So when you would eat, say for example, if that's one of your coping mechanism, what would happen after you eat? How long until
the shame?
So that's another thing you got to deal with.
Yeah, because like I know that I just like went through insuffi mode. I wasn't hungry.
Yeah.
I just like and then also what is not good. So there's a shame after that, because I know that okay, I should have not eat like this full pack of biscuits.
Yeah.
But then, did I really try to process and sit through my emotion?
Did you?
Like, no, because I was just doing that. So then I forget, like not forget, but it's like suppress my thinking of my actual feeling.
So basically, in taking that reaction to anxiety is that I don't want to deal with the anxiety. I just want this feeling to go away.
Exactly.
So how do I make it go away? So somebody who would drink, numb me. Like, somebody who, like I used to smoke. I picked up smoking at 18 because it was a year after I was living independently. And if it wasn't cigarettes, it was going to be a crack pipe. So I think...
What do you mean?
It was something. I needed something to help me manage life. Like I was like, as much as I wanted to be independent, I did, everything was just coming at you. Boom, boom, build, sort this out, call these people that what? Like it was just too much. And at the same time trying to stay on top of like going to school, like going to college to do stuff, and working as well part-time. It was way too much at 17 without guidance, I would say to that. But it was the responsibility I wanted, but I just didn't know how to put it in. So I was like, I heard smoking helps with stress, because that's how people used to say, talk about it in school. Smoking helped with stress. So I picked up smoking, but it actually turns out that later on when I found out about smoking, nicotine is actually a stimulant. It's actually a stimulant, so it actually doesn't calm you down.
And it's probably like, I don't know, it works, but does it affect, does it goes, like I think nicotine goes and touch some of your nerve, like some of brain neurotransmitter.
Yeah.
So then you cannot process some of the things.
Some of the things, so you and this is why probably using smoking as a coping mechanism and then trying to quit smoking when you don't really have a proper coping mechanism, it was definitely not. And the only reason why I was able to stop smoking is when I had a coping mechanism. It was so automatic.
But that's what is fascinating. You know, like there was a time, remember when I was like a full F45 8-9 years ago, and I was like just crazy about it. And at the time, and I was not eating at the time, that was my coping mechanism. Running, doing some sport, doing this, like, you know, and then like if I'm not doing anything, okay, I'm not good. And one of my friends told me when I was in France just a few weeks ago, like, and I just thought that this is me. I just like to do things.
Yeah.
But she's like, well, Laura, we are doing all those activities, yoga here, running here. Let's go to the gym. Like, maybe just sit and try to like
sit with yourself. You're
yourself,
like, oh,
like,
no, we don't like this.
Yeah.
So this is it. So coping mechanism also have to be healthy. Like, right? If you don't replace one bad, even though it presents as a good coping mechanism, it depends on how you actually are using it, because it can also be abusive. Lots of runners or gym manics, they end up injuring themselves, but they're not able to stop because there is no coping mechanism without this. So that's also something that to be aware of. I think when it comes to anxiety or any mental health situation that people might deal with, is best to self-awareness is the key.
Yeah, and I know like you want to talk about coping mechanism, but like literally like next week, the next episode, we are going to be able to properly identify those coping mechanisms. So I'm not going to go too much into that.
No.
But this self-awareness, this is where like I think like it's spot on. And I think like given the conversation that we just had, recognizing anxiety is really important. And I would love for us to like understand how we can do that.
Yeah, like I said, there's so many symptoms that you were able to identify in yourself, how you feel, that fidgety, that jittery. And to be honest, you might, some people don't like labels, right? So not everybody's going to want to, label themselves as anxious or anything like that. But just notice that I'm triggered here. Something is wrong. My body thinks that something here is going on. Something that doesn't have to be wrong. Like, even if you are looking around and thinking, maybe I'm not anxious, because some people say this to me, like, I'm not anxious. What do I have to be anxious about? But it might not even be your anxiety. It could be someone else. It could be your partner. It could be your parents' anxiety that you're taking. If you're too empathic.
Oh my God, that's so true.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Like the anxiety from people that you're just taking
You can see that somebody isn't right, and you're like, that's like a dog. Dogs are the number one. Well, as pets, cats do whatever they like. As domestic animals, dogs pick up on their owner's anxiety.
That's so true.
Yeah.
I saw this video on Instagram where there was this guy, he wanted to test if the dog will continue to eat the food if he was being attacked. And most of the dog, they just didn't. They continue to eat their food. They move a little bit and then like they continue to eat their food. But they could sense that like
nothing was wrong.
They were not scared, even though they could sense it, and that's why the dog carry on eating. And I was astonished of that, because I was like, well, normally dogs are like, cat, I understand they're a bit selfish, but dogs, they're just like, they want to help you and things like that. And I was really like, why are they not doing it?
Yeah.
But because like deeply, the people were not scared.
They're not scared. And if you really want to know, if somebody has a dog and you really want to know the state of the person's mind, look at their dog.
That's why they say, like, people look like their dog. Okay.
Yeah, like,
I will do that next.
Like, look at their dog's behavior. It should be able to tell you just how anxious their own areas.
But that's true as well. Like, I'm gonna say maybe something that people are not gonna like, but that's true with kids. I realize.
Most definitely it's
So
true.
I have I have friends. I have a couple. They have a kid, and the kid, like, keep in mind, this kid is brilliant. He's so smart. He's move a lot. He talks like, and when he was really younger, like, he was so, like, everywhere moving. But the parents were like, phew,
Anxious.
not, I wouldn't say anxious, but I will say, like, they have a lot of things going on. Right?
Anxious?
No, I wouldn't say anxious. But, like, they do a lot of things. Like, we need to travel here, we need to do this, we need to do that. Like, I don't know if anxious.
Well, probably anxious.
It is. Whatever. Like, they do a lot of things. While, like, I have another set of parents that had the kids, like, kind of the same time. And the kid was so relaxed. I was babysitting the kids. Like, sometimes I come and I'm like, oh, why is he not awake? Why is he not asking me for food? Like, the baby was so relaxed. But the parents, they are a bit older. They're the same.
Yeah.
So relaxed,
Yeah.
Like, you're at a place, it sounds like a church.
Yeah.
Everything is so quiet.
Yeah. Kids are definitely, because they're so impressionable. Their brain is so malleable. It is so impressionable. They're picking up, and they want to. Like, whether we know this, like, consciously or not, I think biologically we understand, as children, we understand that our parents are our protectors. Right? So if they're not right, and you can sense it, you may not know the language around it, but if you can sense that they're not right, you would want to do something about it, or maybe take that worry on or something, so kids, definitely. And there's a lot more controversial things that people say about kids taking on their parents' anxiety, especially when your parent. And you know what the catch-22 is? When the parents have parental anxiety, that then creates anxiety for the parental anxiety, worrying that your kids, something might happen to your kids, that you're constantly worrying about their safety, then that creates anxiety in the children.
Yeah. And I saw that with my little brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
My mom is afraid of everything, like,
Yeah.
going in the street, like, oh my God, we go in the mountain
Yeah.
for holidays. Oh yeah, we are outside. It's dark. Close the door. People can come. And my little brothers that are 16, they are like that. And I'm just like, oh my God, like, Mom, you just, like,
Yeah.
they just become like you. It's
Yeah.
crazy, but I'm crazy.
Yeah.
I found that crazy.
All right, so should we stop here and carry on next week?
Yeah, that was really good. Next week, really, really want to deep dive more into, like, understanding what's happening, being, like, developing this self-awareness, and then, like, the right coping mechanism, and also understanding what are the wrong coping mechanisms, so then we try not to fall into.
Okay. Just as we end this session, I would like to take us through a grounding exercise. So wherever you find yourself, if you're sitting in a chair, if you've got your feet on the ground, even if you don't have your feet on the ground, but just make sure that you lean back to that chair. Can you feel the support of that chair? Just become aware of the chair supporting your back. And become aware of your bum on the chair. Just feel the support. And just become aware of wherever your hands are touching. And just feel your hand touching that thing that you're touching. Just bring your mind into the present. Just look around you, wherever you are, and name 5 things you can see just in your head. And listen keenly and try to name 4 things you can hear. Any sounds at all, any natural sound you can hear, anything that your ears can hear in wherever you are, from a distance, in your body. 4 sounds you can hear. Once you've done that, if you can name 3 things you can feel on your body, 3 sensations in different parts of your body, or 3 parts of your body that you can feel a sensation, whether it's the clothes on your skin, whether it is heat, itch, a draft. And once you've done that, name 2 smell that you can smell, scent that you can smell. It could be anything that you can pick up in the air. Once you've done that, now put your attention on your tongue and name one thing you can, and name the very thing you can taste. Is it sweet, bitter, savory? And that there is a grounding exercise just to bring you into the present. Because sometimes anxiety could be thinking too much into the past or too much into the future. And if you want to bring yourself back into the present, and if you can check in the right and now, in this very moment, right this second, this moment, what is actually wrong? Not anything outside of this moment, not anything outside of this environment, wherever you are, just right now. Just check with yourself what is actually wrong. Thank you for listening. And we've come to the end of the circle. Hope you enjoyed the episode. If there's anything that you have taken from the episode, please try to tell. Please ensure that you let us know through the comments or our social media, or email us at the Sister Circle Podcast at gmail.com. That's the Sister Circle Podcast at gmail.com. Join us next week for a new circle. Until then, have a great week.
Have a great week.
Don't you ever try